After eliminating the field boss Scorpion King, Kang Hyunwoo, the greatest player of the game Arena, decided to resign from the game permanently. He was known as the Melee God in the game. Arena was the greatest virtual MMORPG in the world. Another reason for deleting his account was that he wanted to focus on the real world. It was high time he should stop wasting his time playing games. Kwon Youngchan, who was also an Arena player, freaked out hearing Nag's reason for disappearing from the game. According to him, Nag could have netted tens of thousands of dollars just by selling his items. Hyunwoo replied to Youngchan that the game was only a fun pastime for him, not an earning source. He decided to serve in the military and inherit his father's business. Youngchan became agitated and screamed for worrying about a rich bastard like Nag. But life was unpredictable. Hyunwoo would not have known things would turn upside down like that. 2 years later, Hyunwoo was working in a convenience store as a part-timer at the rate of $8.90 divided by hour. Currently, he was getting pissed at the customer that was reeking of alcohol and was behaving like a Weasley-ass goblin. According to Hyunwoo, who could have thought that the successor of Damsu Construction would fall so down? His father's company underwent bankruptcy around the final vacation of his military service. His father became bedridden and the whole family became indebted with huge debt. The only food source they currently had was expired convenience store meals. He had to work hard to support his father's medical bills and to look after his father. Right then, Hyunwoo got a message from Youngchan. Hyunwoo was surprised to see Yeon's equals Ji-chan was still trying to contact him because after his family went through a bankruptcy, Hyunwoo had kind of ghosted Youngchan. Youngchan tried to convince Hyunwoo to return to Arena again because just streaming as a pro player would earn him 6-digit money, which was far better than the clerk job he was doing in the convenience store. And so, Hyunwoo thought about getting back into the game and regaining his #1 rank. But the reality was harsh. The cube that Hyunwoo needed was 3 times more expensive than his current wage. At that very moment, Hyunwoo had encountered Young Hanbik. He was the delinquent son of Hyunwoo's father's partner, Mr. Young. Hyunwoo tried to avoid Young Hanbik, but Hanbik had another way of thinking. He asked Hyunwoo how he was capable of shopping with his family being broke as a flat. Hyunwoo was shocked to hear that Hanbik knew about his family's situation. Hanbik cleared Hyunwoo's confusion by revealing that it was his father's work behind the bankruptcy. Mr. Young betrayed Hyunwoo's father because he wanted to top up in the position. Hyunwoo punched Hanbik out of anger. He cursed at Hanbik and eventually threatened that he would kill him. Eventually, that ended in the filing of a police complaint against Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo came out of the police station. He was crying under the heavy rain because he never thought of money as such a great asset that people would even try to kill their partner for it. But he learned the hard way. Right then, the achievement people were getting by streaming in Arena was broadcast on the news. Without even knowing, Hyunwoo's body moved on its own and he asked for help from his only true friend Youngchan. The game world shook again at the arrival of the long-lost Melee God that once was at the top of the arena. He placed a new record on the Magic Power application test at the tutorial, and was determined to become an A-ranker again. The reason why Hyunwoo was able to reach first place as Melee God was because no one could match his level of control. It was a piece of cake for him to defeat a level 10 Dark Elf warrior. He wanted to grow faster because he wanted to repay his gratitude to Youngchan, who had offered him a place to stay, his despair for his family, and his vengeance for Young Hanbik. To do that, he would become an arena ranker at a speed that one could not even imagine. Young Dahui was watching Hyunwoo's tutorial. Seeing his skill, she became delighted because Hyunwoo still had his spark as a Melee God. Because of completing the tutorial, the village chief gave Hyunwoo his reward, which was a ring containing a giant spirit. It could be considered as a rare item. Hyunwoo was delighted and he started right away. Once there was an item all hardcore arena players used to increase their EXP gain by 20% for 4 hours, but eventually, that item started to get lost because the supplier disappeared. It was none other than an item called EXP Potion. It was supplied by Hyunwoo back in the past, but as he disappeared from the arena world, the potion was also forgotten. Still now, only Hyunwoo knew how to make that potion. He thought about making it and selling it in an auction at a high rate, but he had one final item short of making that potion. The only dungeon that had that final item was occupied by the Black Skull Guild. The guy who was blocking the entrance of the dungeon asked Hyunwoo to turn away from there because they had no business with newbies. Hyunwoo became irritated and bypassed that guy to enter the dungeon, but the guy had a death wish and pointed his sword at Hyunwoo's neck. Hyunwoo was so pissed that he challenged the guy to a character deletion bet. The guy became arrogant and accepted the bet. Hyunwoo warned him that it would only take 5 minutes for Hyunwoo to finish that guy, but the guy thought Hyunwoo was bluffing because there was no way he would be defeated by a newbie, but only if he knew how wrong his assumptions were. Hyunwoo easily overpowered that guy. The guy could not comprehend how he was getting beaten by a newbie, but then, he made an assumption that Hyunwoo could be a PK hunter disguised as a newbie. While the guy emerged in his thoughts, Hyunwoo made his final blow and beat that guy. According to their conditions, Hyunwoo obtained all the items that the player had. Hyunwoo obtained all the items he needed for his potion and went to Aslan's workshop to create the potion. The capsule that was used for the production of items instead of the player made the EXP potion exactly the way Hyunwoo remembered it was. With this rare item, Hyunwoo could make a huge amount of money. Every player got the notification of an explosive item being added to the auction. But the catch was there was only one potion. Everyone rushed to the section to buy that potion. So, the item that once was sold at $3,000 was now sold at $5,000. Aparting the money that he needed to repay his liabilities, Hyunwoo leveled up by purchasing the most practical equipment he could find. Though that equipment earned him quite a lot of stares from other players because, according to one player, he looked like a walking traffic light. He quickly took his quest from the village chief, Dell, and left to fulfill his quest. After completing his quest, Hyunwoo went for the Goblin Dungeon because he wanted to level up to level 10 by that day. There he got invited by an advanced party member, but when that party noticed that he was just a newbie, they rejected him. Hyunwoo was very pissed, but right then, a beautiful girl came and asked Hyunwoo to join her because Hyunwoo seemed like someone who had knowledge about goblin dungeons. Seeing the beauty, Hyunwoo joined her party immediately. There was a girl and 2 boys already at that girl's party. Hyunwoo was the last member that they had recruited. The recruiter of Hyunwoo was a priestess named Choi Somi. Hyunwoo introduced himself, but he hid the fact he was level 6 and became a normal level 20 warrior. His unique items made his stats similar. It was one of the benefits of the arena system because one could hide their status window. Their group consisted of a level 24 warrior named Choi Jinwoo, a level 22 archer named Park Cheol-min, and a level 23 mage named Jia. One of the members asked Hyunwoo if he had any immunity items. Because he was in a close range class, they doubted if he would be able to hold on. Hyunwoo smiled as much as possible under the criticism of the party members and replied that he was a bit skilled in control. Choi Somi called out the guy who was insulting Hyunwoo and asked what he was doing to the person she brought and whether he could not trust her selection. The guy blatantly accepted that he did not trust her and that was why he was inquiring. The guy also added that he did not want to die because of her. Choi Somi swung the stick she was carrying at the warrior believed to be her brother because she was angry and told him to die. They started to proceed inside the cave and everyone wished to see how skillful Hyunwoo actually was. A group of goblins finally appeared. The goblins launched their poisonous needles as a happy greeting. The poisonous needles naturally didn't penetrate Choi Jinwoo's shield. Meanwhile, Park Cheol-min's arrows and Jia's magic bombarded the goblins. Why did they accept Hyunwoo as a party member? It was a question that came to Hyunwoo's mind. Still, it was only for a moment. Hyunwoo did not care about the reason. All he cared about was leveling up. After what looked like an hour of battle, they decided to take a break. Jia and Cheol-min complimented Hyunwoo's sword-wielding skill. Jinwoo instructed them that they would seize the hobgoblin when they were ready. He also told Somi to buff them up as much as she could during the battle, and advised Jia to secure her mana. There might have been cases where Cheol-min accidentally injured one of his comrades with his arrows, so Jinwoo strictly forbade him to shoot arrows carelessly. Hyunwoo and Jinwoo took the lead and attacked the cave where the boss of the goblin was. Because of Somi's power, Hyunwoo's strength and agility increased. Hyunwoo and Jinwoo were taking care of the goblins when the boss goblin appeared. He shot a black sphere at Choi Jinwoo. Jinwoo lifted his shield and blocked the sphere. However, he couldn't endure the impact and flew away, hitting the wall of the cave. Hyunwoo moved forward when Choi Jinwoo flew away to attack the boss goblin because it would be troublesome if the hobgoblin fired one of those black spheres again. He asked for help from the rear guard of their team. The hobgoblin started to make a black sphere, but Hyunwoo would not just watch. The time it took for the sphere to be created was 5 seconds. Hyunwoo ran forward to hit it when Cheol-min shot an arrow at the hobgoblin that luckily did not hit Hyunwoo and pierced one eye of the hobgoblin. Hyunwoo thought if they wanted him to die. Hyunwoo slashed the hobgoblin and commanded Jia and Cheol-min to attack the hobgoblin. Thus, the hobgoblin was defeated. They could not believe they had defeated a hobgoblin. They all praised Hyunwoo for his quick wit. The hobgoblin left behind a small egg, a bit of silver, and a small book. Hyunwoo felt burdened by the infinite consideration of the party members. He told them that he only needed the egg because he thought they might attack him if he asked to keep everything to himself. They offered to be friends with Hyunwoo, but Hyunwoo avoided that topic and bade them goodbye. He did not trust anyone in this world. But one thing was good, he had reached level 10 and could get a class advancement. Hyunwoo walked through the town and stopped in front of a huge tower. The name of the tower was the Class Tower. It was often referred to as the Class Change Tower. Every class occupied one floor. The egg that Hyunwoo took from the bounty of the hobgoblin would take an hour to hatch. In the meantime, he thought about getting him a new class. He went to the manager of the warrior floor Khan because he wanted to be a warrior. Classes were important from 1 second advancement. Khan was a warrior with straightforward speech. He had a simple nature without any pretenses. He wanted to take a test by fighting Hyunwoo so that he could determine if Hyunwoo was capable of the warrior class. Hyunwoo attacked instead of replying. His single-edged sword flowed smoothly and precisely in an arc. Khan got goosebumps when he encountered Hyunwoo's sword. The young man in front of him was by far the best adventurer he had ever seen. He didn't think that anyone could show such a neat strike. Khan also struck back at Hyunwoo with his quick swordsmanship. Hyunwoo used the repulsion force when his sword was blocked to attack once again. Hyunwoo was slowly grabbing hold of victory when Khan laid down his sword and accepted his defeat. Thus, Hyunwoo advanced into a warrior. Hyunwoo acquired 3 skills after the class change. They were all useful base skills. That was why Hyunwoo was satisfied with his title. Khan handed him a small gold coin engraved with the pattern of a crossed sword and shield. The owner of the coin was a knight of Kion. It would be a great opportunity for Hyunwoo because it was Lebron, the greatest knight of the empire. The moment he received the coin from Khan, a message window appeared in front of him. It was because a quest had been created. The quest was to find the owner of the coin. Hyunwoo instinctively realized it was a jackpot. He tried his best to settle the rising corners of his lips, but it was hard to stop the laughter. Hyunwoo said goodbye to Khan, who had given him so much, and exited the tower. Hyunwoo had not even thought he would encounter these things in the process of changing classes. Right then, the system window reminded him that the egg would hatch soon. Hyunwoo became excited and prayed to get a dragon as a pet, but he was bewildered to witness a cute little bear hatching from the egg. He wanted someone to tell him it was a dream. Right then, the teddy bear talked and Hyunwoo opened his eyes as he heard a voice that came from somewhere. Hyunwoo was so flustered he couldn't even speak. He couldn't believe he was talking to a teddy bear. Yet the teddy bear didn't even give Hyunwoo time to panic. He started bombarding his mind by calling him his servant. Hyunwoo was so pissed that he threw the pet from his head to the ground. After a while of torturing, the teddy bear succumbed to acknowledging Hyunwoo as his master. But the teddy bear also cursed him internally as a cruel master. Hyunwoo gave the teddy bear Tangy name. Tangy was happy to get a good name and wanted to celebrate, but Hyunwoo disappointed him by saying he was logging out for that day. Hyunwoo came out from the cube. Youngchan curiously asked about Hyunwoo's progress in the game. Hyunwoo complied with his achievements, to which Youngchan commented that now that he had obtained a class, he was more than capable of becoming a streamer. Hyunwoo was nervous at first because he was not sure if he would reach the audience or not. But Youngchan reassured him and told him that he would become his manager. So the only thing Hyunwoo had to do was record every time he got into the game and provide Youngchan with the records. Youngchan was more excited than Hyunwoo because the return of the legendary Melee God would blow the streaming world. It was the western part of the Black Forest that contained the Dark Elves where Hyunwoo took Tangy with him to their first mission as a pet and master. Tangy reassured Hyunwoo that he would show a great performance to his master and they charged forward to attack those elves. Hyunwoo told Tangy that they would level up like crazy that day. Tangy was a buff pet. Hyunwoo found Tangy's ability to be more useful than he thought. He was easily able to defeat those elves with the help of Tangy's buffing. From behind the trees, a party of 4 people was watching Hyunwoo. Team Holic, consisting of 3 men and 1 woman, was a vicious professional PK party that used PK to steal equipment from wealthy, solitary players. They were completely different from their party's cool name. They looked at Hyunwoo's gears and thought that Hyunwoo was a wealthy player. They thought about inviting Hyunwoo to a friendly party and stealing all his belongings from him. The girl from their group showed concern about Hyunwoo cosplaying as a beginner because he looked very skilled in fighting. But another guy brushed that off because he thought that however better a player was skilled, he would not be able to defeat them if they all attacked him combinedly. After all, nobody could win when they were outnumbered. After the battle ended with those elves, Hyunwoo realized that it had not made the expected impact on the stat that he calculated. Hyunwoo also bullied Tangy because the only task it did was buffing him. Tangy and Hyunwoo were in a childish fight when that PK party appeared. They offered an invitation to join their group to Hyunwoo as politely as possible. Hyunwoo looked at them and analyzed that there were 3 men and 1 woman, 2 warriors, 1 archer, and 1 priest. It was a common combination in the area. However, their appearance and behavior were somewhat unsettling. Hyunwoo sensed that they weren't ordinary players. They felt like hyenas. Hyunwoo realized they were PK players because they had all the members they needed in their group, so it was pretty absurd to approach him to join the group. If Hyunwoo was a mage, then it would have been a different scenario as they had no mage in their group. However, Hyunwoo started to paint a big picture. He pretended to be new and thanked them for inviting him. The PK party became happy because they thought they had fooled yet another fool, but they were yet to know how wrong they were. The rearguard of that team, Ren, introduced their front guard Cal and Craw, and their priest Basil to Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo felt disturbed to tell them his real name, so he gave them a fake name. Hyunwoo used those players as a shield and attacked those elves. He was having a very good time because his level was increasing. Those PK players got frustrated because they had intended to kill Hyunwoo by using the tactics of mistakenly attacking their comrade, but Hyunwoo had dodged them every time. Tanyi was hearing everything from behind a tree. He rushed to Hyunwoo and gave him the intel that they were planning to stab Hyunwoo while attacking the boss elf. Hyunwoo noticed that he had leveled up quite a lot, so he planned to stab them in the back first. He also thought the title of the stream to be PK Player Gets Karma. Hyunwoo gave an evil laugh just by thinking how much Youngchan would love the recording. Hyunwoo thought about repaying those PK players for stabbing his back 1,000-fold. Those PK players approached Hyunwoo and asked him to join their party in the hunt for the chief dark elf. Hyunwoo pretended to be scared and wanted to back off from the mission. The rearguard of the PK's party was irritated, but still encouraged Hyunwoo to join them because their main target was killing Hyunwoo while hunting the chief of the dark elf. He tried to boost Hyunwoo's attitude by complimenting his skills. After much buttering, Hyunwoo decided to join them. The PK party was delighted because they thought their plan would succeed. But the chief dark elf was very powerful. The chief dark elf was beating everyone into dust. They previously planned that they would attack Hyunwoo when he would try to exercise his skills on the elf. But Hyunwoo had another plan. He used Tangi to distract Ren so that Ren became unable to shoot the paralysis arrow properly. Because of that, the arrow that was meant for Hyunwoo hit Cal, who was preparing to attack Hyunwoo from the back. Cal fell to the ground because of paralysis. Ren apologized to Cal, but right then the chief of the dark elf attacked Crawford. Hyunwoo charged at them. They thought he was coming to save Crawford, but he made his ultimate move of backstabbing by stabbing Crawford. Ren questioned Hyunwoo for his absurd behavior. Hyunwoo was delighted to reveal his intention by saying that when someone was willing to backstab the other, they should also watch their back because the same could happen to them. After that, Hyunwoo slaughtered them and obtained their belongings. He was satisfied to have a perfect ending for his stream, but he realized that he would not get many followers if he battled against weak competitors. Hyunwoo wanted to compete with someone stronger so that the audience would feel attracted. The chief of the dark elf was waiting to fight with Hyunwoo because he found him very interesting, and fighting a powerful opponent is always a delight. Hyunwoo instantly thought about the second title of another video, which was level 20 player slaughtered a dark elf chief, and they finally emerged into the battle. Youngchan was pleased to see the records that Hyunwoo had recorded. Now, he just needed a good video editor to edit those records, but Youngchan was being really mysterious to Hyunwoo about the streams. A paper came out from a printer where it was written in capital, "The Make Kang Hyan Woo a Star Project. The return to 1%. Youngchan was looking for an editor for Hyunwoo's video, but he was being very picky. He wanted someone who would be able to bring the potential out of the records. Right then, his eyes fell on the editor Alice. Though it was a little expensive, Youngchan wanted to go for this editor because Alice was a video creator who was known to be a ghost among arena creators. Alice was given the reward of being the arena maker of the year. Youngchan mailed those records to Alice. Alice was also a picky editor. He would not edit anyone's video. He was so frustrated that not a single recording was catching his eye. But then, he noticed the mail from Youngchan. Ellis knew Youngchan through Michiel, who introduced Youngchan to him. Seeing Hyunwoo's video, Ellis was so delighted that he swore to raise Hyunwoo up to the main stage of the arena. After some days, the video of Hyunwoo was uploaded to the arena world. The response was very overwhelming because the other players who were at the same level previously were also targeted by PKers. They were happy to see the consequence of those PKers. Youngchan commented that the video was a huge success because it had already reached 150,000 viewers. Youngchan was very satisfied with Ellis's editing. Ellis was charging a low editing rate, which made Youngchan realize that he might have taken a liking to Hyunwoo as well. It was a win-win situation for Youngchan. He also uploaded the video on his channel. The video not only broke the internet, but it also reached very prominent organizations. The business team manager of Nike Management, Kale, was impressed to see the fresh and unique video of Hyunwoo. Normally it would always be PKers who would take advantage in the videos, but Hyunwoo reversed the whole theme, which was quite refreshing. Not only that, but a level 20 player defeating the Dark Elf Chief was also something to admire about. Kale realized that he was wasting his time on unsatisfactory candidates all this time. He also appreciated that Hyunwoo had the potential of becoming a star. Kale was determined to sign Hyunwoo under the Nike management, so he decided to contact the channel Argon, which uploaded Hyunwoo's video. On the other side, Hyunwoo was battling in the dark forest of the northern part. When Hyunwoo first entered Arena as Meligod, he had a very hard time leveling up because he did not have proper knowledge and types of equipment with him. But now, it seemed like a piece of cake and he was really leveling up faster. Though this speed was not enough for Hyunwoo because according to him, he had started late from others, so he had to speed up his progress if he wanted to go to the top. After defeating his current enemies, he felt like the meadows were too easy for him. He noticed that both his and Tangy's stats had gone up. Tangy had reached the level of 15, which was very unusual if he was a normal pet. Hyunwoo was happy to realize that he might have had a unique pet as a partner. Hyunwoo and Tangy were searching every nook and cranny so that they would not leave any bounty behind when Hyunwoo noticed a shining thing. He could not comprehend why something like that would fall there in the first place. When he examined it, the system window informed Hyunwoo that he had acquired a quest. The quest was the heir of the Meadow Wolf tribe. It kind of looked like a delivery quest to Hyunwoo, but he had to be at level 30 to do the quest, which meant he had to level up a few more levels to do so. That's why he decided to go hunting so that he could increase his levels. But there was only so much a person could do alone. If Hyunwoo was at a party, he would have been able to level up faster, but he had no one whom he could trust. Right then, an explosion went off somewhere and drew Hyunwoo's attention. A mage was fighting a monster. His name was Mason. After defeating the monster, he sunk to the ground and complained about how fast his mana drained out from him. Not only that, but his potions had also run out. He was also disappointed because he also thought that it was hard to hunt alone. Right then, Hyunwoo appeared behind him and called out to him. Mason was so surprised that he attacked Hyunwoo with his magic arrow, but Hyunwoo easily dodged it. Mason was impressed to see he could dodge his attacks from that far distance. Hyunwoo apologized to Mason for surprising him. Then he introduced himself to Mason. Hyunwoo offered Mason to join him in a party to hunt together. Mason was suspicious at first, but then he realized he had not heard about any PKers who dressed so weirdly. Besides, Hyunwoo did not seem like anyone with an average level of. Hunting alone was difficult, so Mason thought about it as a good opportunity. Despite being hesitant, Mason decided to join Hyunwoo at a party. After defeating several monsters, Mason was delighted because he was leveling so much faster than he was alone. He thanked Hyunwoo for inviting him to be at a party with him. They initially planned that Hyunwoo would lure those monsters into an area, and Mason would use his magic to attack them. Afterward, Hyunwoo would use his skills to clean them up. Basically, all they did was rinse and repeat, but they were leveling up at a much faster rate. On the other side, Park Junwoo, who was a member of the Black Skull Guild, was hunting monsters with his superior Sean and superior Gain. He was kicked out of the game because of the stupid account deletion bet he did with Hyunwoo previously. They were hunting so that Junwoo could reach level 25, but it seemed that the area they were hunting was already cleared by someone or some party. At this rate, it would be difficult to reach level 25 that day. A monster was regenerating in front of him, so he charged forward to kill it, but to his misfortune, Hyunwoo had already beaten him to that. Hyunwoo killed that monster before it could regenerate properly. Junwoo was shocked to see Hyunwoo there. He shouted at seeing Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo's defensive instinct kicked in and he kicked Junwoo in the face. Seeing that he had attacked a player, not a monster, Hyunwoo tried to justify his action by saying that Junwoo had scared him and made him think that it was a monster. Junwoo rose up and complained to his superior Sean and superior Gain that Hyunwoo was the one who deleted his account. By now, Junwoo was bleeding from both noses because of Hyunwoo's kick. Junwoo tried to scare Hyunwoo away by saying that he had his superiors with him who would beat Hyunwoo without breaking a sweat. But Hyunwoo mocked him and his guild. Gain became pissed, but still, as it was nothing but annoyance, they decided to leave from there. Mason was scared for a moment because Sean and Gain looked like level 60 players. Hyunwoo advised Mason that if a fight broke out, he should stay behind and recover his mana. Seeing Sean and Gain retreat, Junwoo threatened them that he would report them to the guild because they were running away even after they heard disrespectful things about their guild. Sean was pissed and swung his weapon at Junwoo, temporarily knocking him down. Sean and Gain both reached the conclusion that it was always better if one party was hunting the area. Hyunwoo understood their implementation. It seemed like they were indirectly challenging Hyunwoo to a duel. Hyunwoo told Mason to back out. Mason freaked out when he heard Hyunwoo challenging those three into an account deletion duel as well as a captain battle. A captain battle was a duel where a captain from each side would duel, and the winner would remain. Another representative from that party would replace the defeated member. The party that runs out of representatives first would be considered the loser. Sean, Gain, and Junwoo agreed upon the duel. So, the duel began between Sean and Hyunwoo. Sean challenged that he would be able to defeat Hyunwoo in one hit, but Hyunwoo settled for 10 because he knew he would not be able to defeat Sean in a hit. Sean attacked Hyunwoo, but Hyunwoo read the trajectory of the claymore and attacked while dodging. Thus, Hyunwoo counted his first strike out of 10. Everyone was shocked to see Hyunwoo's skill. Sean was astonished to receive strike after strike, but could not land a single strike on Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo was giving him a gaming lesson while injuring him. Hyunwoo told Sean that it did not matter whether he was at a superior level than him or he owned superior equipment. In a PvP battle, a lower level player could also damage the superior player just by making him bleed from different wounds. It might take some time, but it was a method that could be used against any level of players. Thus, Sean was defeated just as Hyunwoo predicted, with 10 hits. The next battle was totally one-sided because Gain was defeated by Hyunwoo before she could land a single hit on him. So, the only participant who remained was Junwoo. Hyunwoo mocked Junwoo for getting his account deleted again in his hand after making so much effort to come to this level now. Hyunwoo somehow saw traits of Hanbeek in Junwoo. Because of this, Junwoo pissed Hyunwoo off even more. Junwoo and Hanbeek both were very arrogant because they had someone to back them off, but now that Junwoo did not have anyone to rely on, Hyunwoo found the best opportunity to teach him a lesson. Hyunwoo told Junwoo if he kneeled and asked for Hyunwoo's forgiveness, Hyunwoo might consider forgiving him. Junwoo was the type of person who would rile up easily. Hyunwoo knew that, so he knowingly riled Junwoo up. The consequence was that Junwoo entered a berserk state. Mason was shocked to see Junwoo enter a berserk state just because of a little provocation. Hyunwoo used the giant strength and punched down Junwoo, sending him home. Hyunwoo got the rewards as the foretold condition. Mason was super impressed by Hyunwoo's technique. He became a fan of Hyunwoo. To avoid such embarrassment, Hyunwoo again focused on hunting so that they could level up more. After hunting for a while, Mason thanked Hyunwoo for his help in leveling up. He sent Hyunwoo a friend request in the hope of pairing up in the future again. Hyunwoo also liked Mason because there were very few good people like him in the arena now. Besides, Hyunwoo also leveled up to level 31. Tangy wanted to rest, but Hyunwoo wanted to complete the quest that he received at the beginning of that day. The quest was basically about delivering the necklace and meeting the chief raccoon. For that, Hyunwoo had to first find the boss monster that appeared in the Meadow Wolf Tribe's field, Dakin. Boss monsters normally spawn around their area with a respawn time of 12 hours. But even though they searched for a while, there was no sign of Dakin. Tangy was very tired and offered to rest. The tree he showed to rest was actually a dungeon entrance. The dungeon was called Dakin Dwelling. Tangy was devastated because all he wanted to do was rest, not find a dungeon to conquer. Hyunwoo entered the dungeon and came across a masculine-looking monster. The monster felt so powerful that Hyunwoo practically thought that it would be impossible for him to take it down. That monster was none other than Dakin, whom Hyunwoo was looking for. Hyunwoo showed the necklace and told Dakin that he had come to deliver it to Raccoon Nim. Dakin recognized the necklace and told Hyunwoo to give it to him and leave, but Hyunwoo refused to give the necklace to Dakin because according to the quest, he had to give it to the tribe chief. Dakin, however, was against it. Dakin appreciated Hyunwoo's spirit but told him that to meet with the tribe chief he had to give a test. Thus, Dakin gave Hyunwoo another quest. The quest was that Hyunwoo had to get acknowledgement from Dakin by dueling. Dakin started the trial and gave no time to Hyunwoo to prepare. He was thrown into the air by Dakin. Dakin tried to strike Hyunwoo, but Hyunwoo dodged and counterattacked Dakin's strike. After taking a heavy blow from Dakin, Hyunwoo's HP dropped to 120. Dakin said that this much was not enough for Hyunwoo to meet the chief. After returning to arena, this might be the first time Hyunwoo had faced someone more powerful than him. Dakin was on a whole different level. Hyunwoo summoned Tangy, whom he had given time to rest before entering the dungeon. Tangy was very furious to get summoned in the middle of his rest. Seeing Tangy, Dakin recognized him and it became a small reunion between an uncle and nephew. Hyunwoo was surprised to see they knew each other. Dakin was happy to see Tangy with his master and allowed him to participate in the battle. But Tangy did not feel wise participating in a face-to-face battle with his uncle, so he decided to buff Hyunwoo up from behind the scene. Though with added buff, Hyunwoo was still unsure if he could win against Dakin, but he was not someone to back off. He charged at him with full force. Dakin also did not go easy on Hyunwoo just because he was the master of Tangy. Even with the power of Tangy, Hyunwoo was unable to defeat Dakin. After what felt like he would die, Hyunwoo gave up. Tangy comforted him, saying that he had fought well against Dakin. But Hyunwoo was upset because it was pointless if he could not defeat him. Dakin came and cleared Hyunwoo's misunderstanding. Dakin did not mean acknowledgement from him had to be by defeating him. Hyunwoo was confused at first, but when the status window showed that he had completed the quest and gained Dakin's acknowledgement, Hyunwoo and Tangy was very happy. Dakin also gave Hyunwoo a necklace as a reward. Right then, the system window notified Hyunwoo that the tribe's chief raccoon was appearing. A huge gust of wind and force grazed Hyunwoo and Tangy, and thus the raccoon appeared. The power Hyunwoo felt from the raccoon was tremendous. If Dakin's power could be compared to Americano, Raccoon's power would be the raw coffee beans. Hyunwoo understood why he had to take the test of Dakin's acknowledgement. Dakin informed Raccoon about the purpose of Hyunwoo's arrival. The necklace was someone named Kankun's. Raccoon became excited and kind of yelled at Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo handed Raccoon the necklace. Seeing the necklace, Raccoon roared and started demanding Kankun's presence. Hyunwoo felt a shiver down his spine. Because of Raccoon's roar, the stats had dropped down by 50%. Dakin called out to Raccoon and advised him to calm down. Apparently, Kankun was Raccoon's son and the future tribe chief, but he hated Raccoon's hard training and often ran away to avoid it. To stop him from doing so, he was bonded by this necklace. But someone helped Kankun to break free from the necklace and helped him run away. That someone was none other than Tangy. Hyunwoo could not believe Tangy was someone who had that type of ability as well. Raccoon apologized to Hyunwoo for losing his calm, but it was an issue pertaining to his son, so he could not control himself. He rewarded Hyunwoo generously. Raccoon even gave Hyunwoo another quest of delivering his message to his son Kankun that the Black Forest was his home and so he should come back. Hyunwoo was very excited to receive another quest. He thought that the tribe chief was very generous. Raccoon also advised Tangy not to stress himself with the issues of Kankun too much because there was no spell in the necklace in the first place. It was something told to Kankun so that he would try not to run away. At the house of Youngchan, Hyunwoo was sleeping on the couch when Youngchan came and woke him up. He had two pieces of good news for Hyunwoo. First, his video had become a hot topic in the arena world and already broke the record. Hyunwoo was astonished to see the views of 170,000 viewers. Second, Youngchan had received mail from the Nike Management. Nike Management was a large fashion enterprise that started to dip its toes in arena streaming. As of then, they were the #1 company for arena management. Hyunwoo could not believe such a company wanted to scout him in the span of a week of his return. The painfully miserable life he was leading flashed in front of his eyes. Youngchan smiled at Hyunwoo and knew what he was thinking. Hyunwoo decided to contact Nike right at that moment. At the headquarters of Nike Management, Kale informed Jamie, a Nike Management representative, that they had agreed to form a contract with Hyunwoo. The name Hyunwoo chose was Ali Boss. As the name was a little difficult to pronounce, Kale decided to call Hyunwoo Mr. G. Jamie asked for the abbreviation. Kale found after the name Mr. G the initial MG was somehow legendary because it stood for Meligod. Jamie could not believe that Kale was able to recruit such a big shot because Meligod was someone who shook the arena world, became #1, and disappeared 2 years ago. It was quite unbelievable that the ranker had once more returned to the arena world. They were looking forward to the impact that this return of the ranker would create in the arena world. After selling the items that Hyunwoo got from the PK parties and the Black Skull Guild, he ended up with 51 gold coins and a pair of shoes. The shoes had the ability to jump very high. He also had the gift he got from Dakin. It was a necklace that was filled with fighting spirit. If Hyunwoo summed up his specs altogether, it would be as incredible as a level 60 player. And as he was a level 32 player, he wanted to get a unique grade weapon with his leftover golds. The most important thing to Hyunwoo was attack power because defense penetration did not hold much merit to him. He knew it would be hard to find something unique within 5,000 coins, but luckily, he found just the right things. It was Dwarf Sword. It was made by a golden hammer dwarf. Though it was not magically processed, it was still a precious item. Hyunwoo could not believe he was getting such a unique item for just 1,000 coins. Hyunwoo thought that it might be getting sold by someone who was quitting the game and quickly bought it. But little did he know that someone made a mistake and forgot to give a 0 at the end. The person in question for selling the sword was none other than the guild master of the Black Skull Guild, Suron. He freaked out so much that he ordered a guild member to find the player who had bought the item. That being said, Hyunwoo and the Black Skull Guild's feud started again. Hyunwoo had 3 days left to sign a contract with Nike Management. He wanted to advance as much as possible. The good and effective way of doing so was engaging in quests. He still had a quest that he received from the warrior, Khan. He decided to meet Lebron. Hyunwoo got so many precious gifts from Dakin and Raccoon. He could not imagine how much he would improve if he could fulfill the question of the strongest knight of the entire empire. As far as Hyunwoo remembered, LeBron was supposed to be at his state in Yusma. Hyunwoo wondered how much the teleportation scroll of Yusma would cost. Hyunwoo reached Yusma and stood in front of LeBron's palace. It was huge compared to any other place, though it was acceptable as LeBron was the strongest knight. Hyunwoo was about to enter the gates of LeBron but was stopped by the gatekeeper. They informed Hyunwoo that civilians were not allowed inside LeBron's place. Hyunwoo showed the coin that Kon gave him as an entry pass for LeBron. The gatekeepers were shocked and opened the gate for Hyunwoo immediately. They also informed Hyunwoo that the Duke was in the training hall at the center of the estate. The passerby around the place was bewildered to see the gate of LeBron being opened for a player. They wanted to get inside so badly that they tried to leech off onto Hyunwoo's body. Some even attempted to enter by claiming that they were comrades of Hyunwoo, but those gatekeepers blocked them off immediately. Hyunwoo had never seen any recording of LeBron before. He was excited to imagine that he might be the first person to video it. Hyunwoo reached the training hall that the guards were talking about. A person was sitting in the middle of it, meditating. Without even opening his eyes, he asked Hyunwoo if he was the adventurer that was recommended by Kon. Hyunwoo replied assertively, and LeBron showed his humbleness by pointing out that it had been a while since an adventurer had sought him out. He also acknowledged that if Kon had recommended Hyunwoo, then he might be quite skillful. LeBron got up and made an obvious judgment about Hyunwoo being here to learn skills from him. But in reality, Hyunwoo was just there to complete the quest, though he would not mention it out loud. LeBron offered a wooden sword to Hyunwoo and implied that a sword fight was more likely to reveal about a person than 1,000 words. LeBron always promised every challenger that he would teach them a skill. Hyunwoo internally cursed his luck because he always had to fight whomever he encountered. Hyunwoo threw a gamble. He asked LeBron if he would be able to learn 2 skills if he succeeded in impressing LeBron. LeBron told Hyunwoo that he could also learn 3 skills, but if he was able to impress him, that was. Hyunwoo accepted the challenge and took his stance to prepare for the battle. The battle began and Hyunwoo struck LeBron. LeBron understood that Hyunwoo was not someone whom he could take lightly. He was good with his footwork also, as if he was developing a unique skill. But LeBron thought that Hyunwoo would not be able to score more than 50 because there had been 10 challengers and none were able to score more than 50. But Hyunwoo took LeBron by surprise. As he knew he would not be able to defeat LeBron, he decided to do whatever he could. So, he used the dash ability to attack LeBron. LeBron did not imagine Hyunwoo would use the dashing ability from such a short distance. LeBron appreciated Hyunwoo's skill because he was bold enough to use a dangerous attack despite knowing their strength differences. Not only that, but Hyunwoo also had good control over his body, which helped him balance to prepare for an attack in the mid-air. LeBron found Hyunwoo's skill to be very interesting and unique. Thus, LeBron gave Hyunwoo 80 points. Hyunwoo was surprised to hear that. He was trying to figure out how many skills he would be able to learn from LeBron when LeBron told Hyunwoo to prepare himself because LeBron was going to attack. LeBron was very happy to find a good talent like Hyunwoo, so he wanted to spar with him. The result was Hyunwoo getting 3 swollen head strikes. LeBron acknowledged Hyunwoo's talent. Hyunwoo realized that LeBron was not someone whom he could defeat at his current level. LeBron told Hyunwoo that he had given 10 coins to 10 swordsmen. Now, all those coins had returned to him because Hyunwoo was the 10th person. Among those other 9 challengers, Hyunwoo was the strongest, so along with skills, LeBron bestowed the title Rising Star to Hyunwoo also. And as LeBron had promised Hyunwoo before, he gave him the book. Because the rules were preset, he could not give Hyunwoo more than 1 book. As LeBron had fulfilled his obligation, he asked Hyunwoo to return. But Hyunwoo did not want to end the quest like that. So, he called after LeBron and asked if he could help LeBron Nim with something. LeBron needed someone to entrust a task and he thought Hyunwoo would be perfect for that. LeBron wanted Hyunwoo to investigate Briggs for him because His Majesty had suspected that black magicians might be responsible for those undead appearing in the southern Briggs. The quest's grade was MS because it was a real scenario quest. Hyunwoo was pleased with his achievement because at only level 32 he had essentially become a main scenario runner. Hyunwoo returned to the auction hall to prepare for his first main scenario quest. But the auction hall was in chaos because the Black Skull Guild still did not find the person who had brought the dwarf's sword. Hyunwoo noticed them and thought that the grudges against someone would never fade. Hyunwoo logged out from the game and started wondering how to handle these small matters when he had an important matter on his hand. Youngchin came and saw Hyunwoo all depressed. Hyunwoo told everything to Youngchin. Youngchin gave Hyunwoo a solution of provoking the guild and posting a declaration of war against them on the community board challenging the PK match. That way the Black Skull Guild would not be able to ignore Hyunwoo's provocation and Hyunwoo also could take revenge on them once and for all. Even this popularity would also go up. It would be like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Thus, a declaration of war against the Black Skull Guild was created. The member of the guild informed the guild master about it. Hyunwoo provoked them by saying that he would defeat all the executives of the guild because they had tortured other players. He even pointed out the dwarf sword at the end of the video. It was the most triggering part for the Black Skull Guild. The guild master was very furious and called for all the executives. He accepted Hyunwoo's war offer. They prepared for the war because the war had begun. There was a discussion going on about the war with the executives when the acting captain of the New World Guild, Kang Young-gu, appeared. He called for Cheolgu and hit him hard. Kang Young-gu was angry at Cheolgu because he monopolized the dungeon without consulting with him. Not only that, 3 guild members had their characters shamefully deleted also. Thus, Kang Young-gu's patience was running low. He told Suran to proceed with a video response and accept the duel because they were going to handle this matter with dignity. He also added that the weak would be eaten by the strong, and he would be expecting the Black Skull Guild to survive. Hyunwoo went to meet Kale to sign a contract with Nike management. Kale was pleased to see Hyunwoo could speak English so fluently, so they decided to talk over dinner. Kale showed the contract to Hyunwoo and told him to thoroughly go through the contract. Hyunwoo found the conditions to be very profitable. There was a condition that was added recently at the last, which was that they would provide Hyunwoo with a unique grade item every month. Hyunwoo asked if the contract was really true. Kale happily obliged that according to him, they were not giving much to Hyunwoo. Kale also revealed that he knew Hyunwoo was Meligod. Hyunwoo tried to avoid the topic by brushing it off by saying he had not heard about that name for a long time. But inside, Hyunwoo was freaking out about how they figured it out. Kale went through with other things that Hyunwoo had to obey, like displaying their logo once or twice and contracting their designer every once a week. After signing the contract, Hyunwoo came back to Youngchan's place where Youngchan asked for the update. Hyunwoo showed him a thumbs up and replied that he had signed the contract. Youngchan also gave Hyunwoo news that the Black Skull Guild had posted a response to the community. They challenged Hyunwoo to come to the Yusma Coliseum 2 days later at 8 p.m. for the duel. Though Hyunwoo was strong, he kept hunting monsters higher than her level because all the executives would be around level 70 or 80. With his skills, it would be a piece of cake to defeat them, but if he wanted to use that ability, then he had to get stronger. So, he hunted for 30 hours with a few breaks here and there, but it was essentially 30 hours of physical labor for Hyunwoo. Thus, he was able to reach level 40 in 3 days, and in a blink of an eye, the day of the duel came. The stadium was packed with people. Most of the reason was a guy going against a whole guild. Maximum threw a judgment that the guild would win because they outnumbered Hyunwoo, but some also thought that as it was a captain battle, Hyunwoo had some advantages. Hyunwoo thanked everyone for joining the battle and even mocked the Black Skull Guild a little. But what he did next shocked everyone. He changed the ground rule from captain battle to team battle. Even the Black Skull Guild was bewildered by Hyunwoo's absurd decision. Thus, the battle of 1 versus 13 began. Cheolgu asked the guild master if he could keep the items they would get from Hyunwoo after defeating him. The guild master replied that as long as he did not eye the dwarf sword, he was good to take anything else. Cheolgu walked toward Hyunwoo and started insulting him, saying that he would not be able to defeat all 13 of them because it took manpower and level to defeat a whole team. While Cheolgu was talking with Hyunwoo, Hyunwoo sliced him with a swing of his sword. The guild master was astonished because Cheolgu was second in rank at their guild. To kill that level of player with just one swing was something to be terrified about. At first, they blamed Hyunwoo for playing dirty, but Hyunwoo reminded them that the duel had already begun, so they should have been more careful. Hyunwoo was impressed by the string of the dwarf sword. He took 3 members of the guild easily. The whole stadium roared with anticipation. They also started hoping that Hyunwoo might win. To make things more dramatic, Hyunwoo offered the guild master to surrender because either way, they were going to get whipped out by him. The audience also started to side with Hyunwoo. It was Hyunwoo's plan because it was important to take the lead when one was fighting multiple opponents. After taking down one opponent and showing off their skill, the rest of the team would become confused even if they thought they would not lose. They would start to feel nervous and would make mistakes. The mistake that the Black Skull Guild made was getting distracted by the audience. Hyunwoo took this opportunity to wipe out other members as well, because if one got distracted, it was essential to take that advantage and do one-by-one combat. In just a blink of an eye, only 3 members of the Black Skull Guild remained. But the 2 members of the 3 already gave up, because to them, it would be more shameful if they fought Hyunwoo. Another one confessed that she liked their guild more when they were innocent, and were only enjoying the game. The guild master realized that the guild that he created for fun became a villain in others' eyes. It was not something that he intended to create. He did not realize the guild became obsessed with gaining power rather than just wanting to gain power. Hyunwoo won the duel. Despite being outnumbered, he won the battle. After that day, the name Ali Boss spread like a wildfire and became the symbol of justice. Because of that, others started to take interest in Hyunwoo. Some were in a good way, but most of them were in a bad way. The surprise Hyunwoo told Kale to look forward to finally came out. He was pleased to see the results. Initially, if Hyunwoo had informed Kale about the account deletion battle, he would have forbidden him from doing so. But the exposure Hyunwoo gained told otherwise. Well, it was expected from someone like Meligod. Hyunwoo made his goal while making visible profits. Kale was proud to choose him. Hyunwoo was upset despite his continuous success because he saw the news on the TV that Hanbik had debuted as a pro gamer. Hyunwoo thought that in the midst of little success, he might have forgotten about his revenge. He set his goal to become a pro gamer as well so that he could defeat Hanbik in the field of the arena. Youngchan became a little concerned seeing Hyunwoo's obsession. Hyunwoo again logged into the game because he could not laze around. He thought that now that he had taken care of all the other distractions, he should focus on the main scenario quest. But before that, he had to gather information about all 4 main scenario quests that were previously done. Hyunwoo calculated that if he had to find the black magicians, he had to fight the undead, and for that pairing up with a priest would have been better. But Hyunwoo did not know any priest, so he decided to go solo for now. He found 2 potential places where he could find the undead, but on the way, a guy named Kim Sik-jung recognized him as Ali Boss and started following him. Hyunwoo wanted to get rid of him, but he was a persistent guy. He did not want to leave Hyunwoo alone for a moment. He kept asking if Hyunwoo was going to hunt ghouls as well. Hyunwoo tried to control his emotions and gave a vague answer that he liked hunting here because not every person was around there in the first place. But Sik-jung surprised Hyunwoo by mentioning the black magicians. Hyunwoo became a little suspicious because the main scenario quest was not something anyone would know. The guy pulled Hyunwoo into a brotherly hug and offered to show him the place where black magicians could be found. He told Hyunwoo that he had encountered black magicians somehow, but he did not give a proper answer to the question of how. Hyunwoo was a bit suspicious since he did not seem to lose anything from this, but he also thought if Sik-jung wanted to hurt Hyunwoo, he would have done it by now. The guy offered Hyunwoo to go with him as he also had some work in the same area. Hyunwoo thought that if he felt anything suspicious, he would run away, but for now, it looked okay to go with this person. Sik-jung took Hyunwoo to the black magician's hideout. It looked like a simple grave, but Sik-jung punched at the grave using his Luru monk. Hyunwoo found it absurd because the requirements were very absurd. Because one cannot change one's class unless they were acknowledged by the head monk. It was said that there were not many people with this class selection. Hyunwoo was sure that Sik-jung was not an average player. With the use of his Luru monk, a pathway was created on the grave. They followed the path and encountered the undead. This guy Sik-jung was none other than the guild master of the New World Guild. His acting guild master Young-gu gave him the intel about Hyunwoo, so he came to check his ability. He did not think that he would like him, but Hyunwoo's skill was very refreshing and Sik-jung ended up liking him. Sik-jung called out to Hyunwoo and asked what he should do with the black magician that was caught. Eventually, the black magician was defeated and they gained some exp. Though defeating a black magician did not make the quest complete, Hyunwoo thought that he had to defeat more magicians to complete the quest. Hyunwoo was thinking about a way of getting rid of Sik-jung, but as he was also a top ranker, Hyunwoo wanted to somehow be in touch with him. At the same time, Sik-jung also felt Hyunwoo being on guard. So, he understood that asking Hyunwoo to join his guild would backfire, but he also wanted to leave a good impression on Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo made a lame excuse and ran from there. Sik-jung felt like a feller who was afraid of confessing his feelings. Sik-jung then contacted Young-gu and told him to stop his plans of revenge on Hyunwoo because Hyunwoo had already become his dong-sang. Sik-jung was determined to make Hyunwoo join his guild in the future when he would definitely meet him again. On the other hand, Hyunwoo was getting tons of views on his streams. The money he would be earning from a cube had made him devoted to it. Youngchan entered the room and saw Hyunwoo worshipping the cube. It felt like Youngchan had already given up on his life after seeing it. Hyunwoo came to hunt in the dark cave, but he was worried that someone might recognize him as Ali Boss, because if that happened things would become difficult for him. But there he met with Yuri and Youngjun. They came and greeted Hyunwoo. Hyunwoo's face became pale like a ghost. Yuri inquired whether Hyunwoo was feeling sick or not, but the paleness of Hyunwoo was because of another reason. Yuri and Youngjun were younger siblings of Youngchan. The problem was not that they were the younger siblings of his friend with whom he was living with currently. The problem was that Yuri had previously confessed her feelings for Hyunwoo to him before.